Welcome everybody to today's Feathr webinar. We're going to be talking all about some strategies for amplifying your results this Giving Tuesday. So thanks for joining. I want to give everyone just a couple minutes to join. So in the meantime, if you want to drop in the chat, are you a Giving Tuesday veteran? Have you done a few of these, or is this actually maybe your first or second Giving Tuesday? Just kind of curious to get a sense of the audience, what you're here to learn today, how you're feeling about Giving Tuesday coming up in less than a month. So drop in some answers here just so we can kind of get a poll of the room. Okay, first Giving Tuesday. Welcome. Okay. Yeah, I was actually chatting with my sister last night as I was putting together this presentation and kind of talking to her because she worked at a nonprofit last year, and she was saying that things like proven strategies and just kind of tactical advice would have been really helpful for her in that role. And so that sort of made me think of asking this question, because I'm hoping that, for anyone new, this is a lot of new information and really helpful. And for anyone who has had a few runs with Giving Tuesday, I'm hoping that there's still some helpful insights here. But also would love to hear about, any ideas you're trying or things that have worked for you in the past. So as I'm going through the presentation, if you've done many Giving Tuesdays and something resonates, or you've had success with something, please, drop comments in the chat, interact with each other in there, because I love to see you guys talking to each other while we're going through this. So, okay, so it looks like lots of firsts and then a few veterans. Okay, this is your third, 5 or 6. It's always a little overwhelming, yeah, for sure. Okay, last year you didn't have much success, Ashley. Sorry to hear that. Hopefully this year will be better. And obviously, starting sooner rather than later is good. So kind of getting a kickstart now, at the beginning of November to line everything up. Have done many but not prepared this year. That is fair, Jocelyn. Okay. Yeah, also Taylor, good point. I'd love for people to drop in. I'm going to be talking a lot about sort of the strategies for setting up your campaigns in advance, follow up, things you can do the day of. But any ideas, like I said before, of, things that people are doing on Giving Tuesday itself within that time frame to drive urgency, drive action, drop things in the chat. I'd love to hear from you guys. So, yeah, thanks for all of this input and chatter, and keep it coming. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. For anyone who's just joined, we're going to be talking today about Giving Tuesday strategies. And if you didn't hear the question at first, drop in whether this is your first one or if you have been around the block a few times with Giving Tuesday and have a little more experience. But I'm hoping that this is helpful for everybody. So let's get into it. So real quick, for anyone who's new to Feathr, Feathr is the digital marketing platform for nonprofits. So the platform is designed to help you get in front of new relevant audiences, boost engagement, re-engage lapsed donors. So if you are doing end of year and Giving Tuesday campaigns, we can help you with that, running targeted ads and email marketing. If you have an event coming up early next year, Feathr can also be really helpful for event marketing and just generally building brand loyalty, growing your community, keeping people engaged. And we work with more than 1,500 nonprofits from a variety of different sectors, as you can see here. So I'm sure we have a lot of different types of nonprofits in the audience today. So hopefully one of these logos sort of resonates with you. And I'm Isa Hasty. I'm the Senior Content Marketing Manager here at Feathr. We'll be sending out the deck and the recording after this, so I included my email here just in case you have any questions. Always feel free to reach out to me. So yeah, let's get into the agenda. So like I said, we'll be sending out the recording and the deck in an email tomorrow morning, so keep an eye out for that in your inbox so that you can revisit the presentation and the recording if you'd like to. So we're going to be talking a little bit first about the new landscape of giving, mostly focusing on younger donors and sort of reaching younger donors and what that means. And as you'll see, a lot of younger people are maybe less inclined to give right away or give in large amounts. So we're going to talk a little bit about why that is and kind of how to offer other options for young people to support your cause at a time like Giving Tuesday. And then we're going to also talk about Giving Tuesday in the larger context of end of year, because you might be surprised to know that there's actually other days during the end of year giving season that sometimes bring in more money for nonprofits than Giving Tuesday. So Giving Tuesday gets a lot of, kind of the attention as the big giving day, but there's a lot that you can do in the final weeks of the year. So you want to think about Giving Tuesday as sort of the entry point to interacting with your audience and getting those donations. Then we're going to just talk through some sort of general tips for success. I have some examples of really impactful nonprofit Giving Tuesday campaigns and some ad examples, things like that. And then I also want to talk about marketing channels to help you expand your audience. So, we'll talk about sort of nurturing the people that are already engaged with you, but also how do you get in front of net new audiences who are primed to donate to your organization. So we'll be talking about some specific marketing channels for that. All right, so let's dive into this sort of topic of millennials and Gen Z being the new target audience, but how do you actually reach them? So this can be difficult when it comes to actually getting donations. So according to the Millennial Impact Report, millennials want to give and serve. They have a deep desire to do so, but they often aren't interested in spending their time and their talents on shallow involvement. So they want to feel sort of a deep connection with the cause. And it's important to also understand that trust is harder earned from younger generations. So while, Gen X and boomers might be a little bit more inclined to automatically trust organizations or institutions that are asking for money, younger generations are less inclined to do so. And also the financial landscape has just changed for young people, making it a lot harder to find that extra cash to donate. So even if we want to, we might not have, the means to do that. And if there's any younger marketers in the audience here, I'm sure that resonates with everybody, obviously, but especially the younger marketers kind of on that side of like, you understand what it's like to want to donate and want to contribute, but maybe it's a little bit difficult for you. And then at the same time, you're doing marketing at your organization and struggling to kind of reach those younger donors and pull them in. So like I said, younger people tend to prioritize issues and people over institutions. And so I think it's important to kind of understand that about this demographic so that you can find ways to speak to them that will actually resonate. They don't really fall for the same kind of traditional advertising tactics as previous generations. And giving is often about identity. So sort of what does this say about me and what I stand for? And another interesting thing that I think about sometimes is that, previously, I think a lot of donors, older donors, trusted those institutions that were asking for money, but didn't trust the technology. And now it's sort of the reverse. So younger people trust the platforms, trust the giving technology that makes it really scalable to do these larger campaigns, but don't automatically trust the organizations making the ask. So that's why you have to be really thoughtful in your ad copy and in your email subject lines and your email copy about sort of coming across as authentic, showing real impact, showing numbers. You want to evoke emotion, but you want to balance it with impact statements that are sort of based in fact, so people know that they can trust you. Another thing is that young people are heavily influenced by coworkers, friends, family, personal connections. And so it's really important to sort of tap into your volunteer base and your existing supporter base and try to get that sort of word of mouth marketing to work in your favor and get people to spread the word to people who trust them. And just to sort of hone in on this topic a little bit more, rent has increased across the US by 30.4% since 2019, but wages have not grown at the same pace. And so millennials they are giving, but not in high dollar amounts, compared with boomers and Gen X. And so it's also important to sort of realize that millennials and Gen Z consider all of their assets to be equally valuable. So time, knowledge, money, things like this. So if you can think of ways to engage younger supporters in ways other than asking them to donate or asking for smaller amounts. Those kinds of things can go a long way with something like Giving Tuesday. And, obviously Giving Tuesday is mostly about bringing in donations, but you might have an event or a food drive or something like that. And so trying to appeal to younger supporters and get them to actually show up in person and volunteer their time or volunteer their ideas can be a really helpful way to engage younger people during these times of year. So how does this kind of fit into Giving Tuesday and what you're doing in a tactical level? So like I said, transparency and clarity are really key in all of the ways that you're communicating with your audience. This goes a long way for younger generations, but everybody wants transparency and clarity, right? And so I think it's important, to work this into your marketing on Giving Tuesday as much as you can. And as you can see here, some examples of matching that emotional storytelling with hard facts in your marketing. So, these might be subject lines or ad copy, but $25 feeds a family for a week, for example, or 1 in 4 women is a victim of domestic violence. So just referencing statistics, real facts, to kind of show people what's happening, what your organization is doing to address these challenges or these problems. And what they can do to help support you. And I really like this example. This is from Shoes for Orphan. This is a campaign called Shoes for Orphan Souls from an organization called Buckner International. They were running this ad here on Facebook, and they had the suspicion that a sort of more organic looking plain text style ad might actually perform better. And it's kind of funny because this is obviously just more maybe visually appealing, and this looks a little bit sort of plain, but they A/B tested these two, and they actually found that this text ad converted at twice the rate of the image ad. So as you can see here, 0.04% conversion rate compared to 0.02 for this one. And so I think, it just kind of shows that having the sort of organic style, plain, straightforward ask with a clear CTA and some sort of impact statements can go a long way and actually be surprisingly more effective. And obviously, this won't necessarily apply to everybody, and it might not even apply to every campaign that this organization runs. But the point here is to test things. And these two ads are very different looking, right? And so this is a really great example of testing two completely different approaches, seeing that one works better for this case. And so then you maybe put a little bit more budget behind this ad, and then keep testing, your next campaign, do something similar and see what works. And yeah, trying to find the time to just slow down a little bit, try a couple things, A/B test can go a long way in making the campaign more impactful, because you'll then be able to move budget around while the campaign is running and put more money behind the ads that are actually performing well. And then I just wanted to include a few more examples of just some ads here. This is from the Lutheran Child and Family Services of Illinois. This is a Feathr customer, and these are a couple of ads that I think do a really good job of balancing emotion and facts. So as you can see here, they have sort of like imagery that evokes emotion of children, but then they have these sort of hard, cold numbers to show the impact of their organization and the impact that donations can have. And here, $50 can make a specific impact, and kind of referencing that Give Today instills some urgency. So I think these are just really nice looking ads that do a good job of balancing these different factors. And then these are from the Food Bank of Northern Nevada, which is another Feathr user. And again, just sort of balancing the numbers and the statistics and dollar impact with imagery of real people to kind of make it, feel relatable and personal. And then just a few more sort of ways that you can work all of these insights into how you're approaching Giving Tuesday. So giving people easier and smaller ways to contribute, right? So like I was saying before, asking for smaller amounts in your ads can be a really great way to do this. One thing you want to be sure about is that when you're asking, if you ask for a specific amount in an ad, when you link that to the landing page where they can actually go and make that donation, you want to make sure that if you have a default amount set in in the donation form, that should match what they saw in the ad, right? So if you're asking for $5 donations in an ad and then they get to a form where the donation default is $20, that might be off-putting. It might not, but it might be, right? And so you want to make sure you're being consistent in what you're asking for. People can always use the drop down and give more if they want to, but you want to just have a cohesive journey from ad to your website. And then running a gift matching campaign can also be really powerful. I'm going to go into some details about how to sort of run an effective gift matching campaign with some tactics and examples later. Giving big thank yous regardless of donation amount. So you want people to feel appreciated. People give what they can give, right? You have to trust that if people are giving small amounts, it's because they really, really want to give, and that's what they are able to give. So thank everybody for their donations and thank them, give them big thank yous. And stay in contact with them over time. So, nurturing them if, you probably have their email since they made a donation. So continue to nurture them. And the idea is that if they stay engaged with your cause over time, they might become bigger donors later on. And then also impact reports. You probably do some kind of impact report after Giving Tuesday. Yes, Carolyn, this is being recorded. So sharing the impact report, not just in, like one-off emails or something that you normally do, but you can actually share your impact report in ads, in 2025. So if you put together a really nice report showing the impact that your Giving Tuesday and your end of year campaigns had, this can be a really great excuse to run an ad campaign early next year, kind of driving people to a landing page where you're showing the impact of all of those campaigns, and maybe you have a CTA for them to learn more, give more, engage with your cause. Maybe you have an event coming up early in 2025. So impact reports from donation drives in 2024 can be really cool for as a campaign idea for 2025. All right. So let's talk about Giving Tuesday in sort of the larger context of giving season. I'm just going to check the chat real quick. Yeah, I don't know how it's already November. Agreed there. The trouble we have is that it seems like so much is going on with our end of year campaign too. Yeah, for sure. Caitlin, I hear you. And that's actually a great segue into this next section here, because I think, it's important to realize that Giving Tuesday is a huge giving day for nonprofits, but it's also part of just this generally busy giving season when there's a lot of opportunities to bring in donations over those weeks, not just on the day, but it is overwhelming. And so I think to the degree that you can sort of think about Giving Tuesday in the larger context of the other campaigns you're running. And so let's get into that a little bit. So first of all, don't let Giving Tuesday be the last time that someone hears from you. So you probably have new people coming to your website on Giving Tuesday, right? That might be the first time that they come to your site. If they leave without donating, it would be a miss to not continue to reach them after that, right? Because if they clicked through on one of your ads, or they found you through organic search or something, got to your website and left, they are probably interested in your cause if they clicked, right? So you want to try to capture as many of the people who actually come to your site on these big giving days as you possibly can. And leverage that data in the campaigns that you're running approaching end of year and into 2025, right? So I kind of referenced this a little bit earlier, but in 2023, December 31st actually brought in 3 times as much revenue for nonprofits as Giving Tuesday. So I think that's just proof that, this time of year is going to be like a huge time where people are giving a lot of money, and you want to think about it as a sort of a journey that people are taking with your organization and with your cause. It's not just over on Giving Tuesday and then you skip to an end of year campaign and it's done. It's all part of the same thing, right? People who come to your website on Giving Tuesday and don't give might actually give to one of those end of year campaigns you have running. So kind of thinking about Giving Tuesday as like the kickoff point for year-end giving, and you'll see more success overall. One of the ways to ensure success here is to use a tracking pixel on your website to gather that data on anonymous web visitors that are coming to your site, right? You can see what pages they visited, how many times they visited, whether they donated or signed up for something, whether they visited your donate page and abandoned it, or visited your event registration page but didn't sign up, right? These are all things that you can see when you have tracking pixels installed on your website pages. And so I want to mention here before I get into retargeting specifically. So Feathr offers website tracking, right? And we can provide you with all of this data so that you can then run these highly targeted campaigns throughout the end of the year. And we want to bring this ability to as many nonprofits as possible. We know that budget constraints are difficult at end of year. And so we're offering a special deal. And Rachel, if you could drop the link to the page in the chat so people can click through, we're offering a deal where if you sign up for a demo before November, if you sign with Feathr before Thanksgiving, you will not pay a platform fee for Feathr before 2025, right? So we just want to get you set up with the tracking pixel, starting to track that traffic so that you can really leverage all of that data during this peak giving time where you're going to have tons of people coming to your website on Giving Tuesday, tons of people coming in December. So you can have all of that information to use in your campaigns in December and in early 2025. So we want to make it as easy as possible for you to just kind of get set up with Feathr and then deal with the rest later. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and drop a 1 in the chat, and we will connect you with somebody who can give you a more personalized walkthrough of what that looks like, talk to you about sort of the logistics of that for your organization, and try to get you set up as quickly as possible. So just drop a 1 in there, and I'll mention this again at the end just so that you all can see that. But yes, we will send out a recording of the recording of the presentation and the slide deck, Marcia. Okay, cool. So check out that page if you'd like to get started with Feathr soon. But let's talk a little bit about how having that tracking pixel installed can be really helpful. So like I said, that allows you to actually continue targeting people with ads if they visited your site on Giving Tuesday but didn't make a donation. And also it's important to note that while we will talk a little bit about email marketing tactics later on, retargeting and ads let you reach people in multiple places because inbox fatigue at the end of the year is obviously very real. And so you want to make sure that you're not falling through the cracks, right? Email is a very impactful channel for nonprofits at end of year, but it can also be a difficult place to reach people because there's so much noise. And so running targeted ads can be a really great way to sort of balance that, reach people on multiple channels and reach them where they are already browsing online. Okay, so retargeting, for anyone who's not familiar, this is reaching people who come to your website and don't convert. So basically, it takes 7 to 12 touch points to actually convert someone into a donor. So if someone comes to your site for the 7th time on Giving Tuesday, they might make a donation. But if it's the 1st or 2nd time, it's less likely. So you want to be able to capture those visits and retarget those people with ads, encouraging them to come back and engage with you. And then this is just an example from the Sea Turtle Conservancy. So this is their donate page, imagining somebody comes to this page, does not make a donation. They will then start to see this type of ad, follow them around, encouraging them to go back and complete their donation. And then this is just another example from a Feathr customer. This is the Food Bank of Northern Nevada again. And this is their donate page. And for people who visit this page but do not give, they then start to see these ads, driving them back to the page. All right, so let's get into some more sort of tactical tips for success. So before we get into that, I want to sort of talk about this topic of just making sure that your donation workflow is as simple and easy and user-friendly as possible. It might kind of go without saying, but you probably haven't actually gone through the process yourself of the donation process on your website. So I recommend just trying it yourself, asking maybe a family or friend, someone older, someone younger, to kind of go through the process and just give feedback on what could be better. So how quickly does your website load? How easy is it to find the donate page once somebody lands on your homepage or another page on your site? Are there a lot of required fields? You want to kind of keep this to a minimum. You want to get all the information you need, but don't overwhelm people. How many clicks from start to finish? try some different devices, try mobile devices especially. Most people convert and donate on mobile devices nowadays, so you want to make sure that your website and your donate page are mobile friendly. So that brings me to this part. So just kind of making sure that, everything is optimized so that that first impression that somebody has when they hit your donate page is going to either drive them to make a donation or come away with a good impression of your brand. A first glance at your site impacts how someone sees future interactions with your org, and 94% of those first impressions are design and UX related, especially for younger people. So you want to optimize all of that and make sure that when somebody, clicks through to your donate page from Facebook or from, foodnetwork.com or wherever you're serving ads, that they can easily make a donation. Okay, so let's talk about gift match appeals. This can be a really great way to, drive engagement, increase participation. Drop in a yes if you are leveraging gift match appeals for this Giving Tuesday. I'm just curious to see if this is a common thing. I know it can be difficult to secure them sometimes, but okay, lots of yeses. Great. Love that. So yeah, let's talk through, again, if anyone has any tips to share on what's working for them, drop them in. Would love to hear them and share them with the rest. But yeah, let's talk a little bit about sort of the impact of gift match campaigns and some tactics for making sure the campaigns run smoothly. So just a few stats here, 84% of donors are more likely to donate if their gift is matched. 1 in 3 donors say that they would give a larger gift if a match is offered. Mentioning matching gifts in fundraising appeals can actually increase response rate by 71%, and it can increase the average donation amount by 51%. So obviously, when you think about it, and we've all been on the receiving end of a gift match offer, it's like you kind of do the math in your head and are much more inclined to not only give, but give more. Because it's like, okay, if I give 5, it's 10. If I give 10, it's 20. And that can kind of exponentially turn into a much larger donation. So again, just coming back to people wanting to feel the real world impact of the money that they're giving, and gift matching is a great way to do this, and also making sure that you're really highlighting the gift match aspect of your campaign if you're running one. That will drive a lot of results. Let's see what Carolyn said here. We do a power hour with a gift card giveaway of about $25 for everyone who donates between that hour. Kind of fun for those who, yeah, that's really cool. It's a third drawing. Only one winner. Okay, cool. Curious what platform you use for that, Carolyn, if you want to drop that in case anyone else is interested in doing something like that, or how you kind of how you kind of run that campaign, track it through. Okay, cool. Yeah, no, that's a great idea. I really like that. Little sense of competition too goes a long way. Okay, so some tips for running a gift match campaign. So finding the right matching partners. You want to seek out corporations or major donors who might want to amplify their impact. And setting a match goal can be very helpful for just kind of defining the campaign and the scale of the campaign and helping donors understand the urgency. So whether that donation or that total amount is, $10,000 or $40,000, whatever the match goal is, you want to know that up front and be able to present that to anyone that you're asking to be a major donor here. Communicating clearly and often with the audience about the match gift. You want to build awareness as early as possible that this campaign is coming. And also running the match for a limited time kind of drives the urgency to donate in that time frame, which can be really helpful. Sharing updates throughout the day or throughout the campaign time frame and showcasing progress toward the matching goal can drive urgency as well. So, if people see that you are just $3,000 away and that their gift is doubled or tripled, they're going to want to help close that gap, right? And here's another, this is a 3x gift match, which is the dream, from Food Bank of Northern Nevada again. They ran this campaign last year for Giving Tuesday. So another tip is, you want to highlight the impact of the gift match campaign. So crafting a clear picture of just how far each dollar can go. So for example, your $40 gift becomes $80, which provides meals for 20 children. Showcasing stories or testimonials that reflect the impact as well. So this might be, from last year's campaign, if you have stories or images or anything like that from the impact that the campaign had from the beneficiaries, maybe an event that you hosted or a food drive. The more personal you can get, the better, and imagery can go a long way with making things feel personal and evoking emotion here. Promoting across multiple channels kind of goes without saying. So you want to leverage email, digital ads, social media, any other platforms you're using to ensure that you are giving visibility to this gift match campaign. And then giving real-time updates on social media can be helpful for just kind of driving buzz. Anyone who's following you on social media might want sort of those more real-time day-to-day updates about how things are going. And then following up with donors is really, really key here too. So setting up automated emails to thank donors immediately upon donation with a personalized message about how their match, about their matched impact, and how that helped your cause. Sharing campaign results to let donors know how much you raised, and if possible, like I said, sharing those images or sharing updates about how the project is going to kind of show the results in action. And then reporting on impact over time. So this kind of ties back to what we said earlier about impact reports. You want to show that gift match campaigns, they can have such an impressive impact that you want to kind of reiterate that so that next year people will want to also give to your organization, and especially if there's a gift match campaign. All right, so just a couple of other sort of ideas here based on some campaigns that I thought were kind of creative and impactful, and I'm hoping that these will be inspiring and kind of some ideas for how you can replicate some of these things. So this is an example from the Michael J. Fox Foundation. This is for raising awareness and funds for Parkinson's. And so they ran this campaign encouraging people to post what they call unselfies was a trend, which is like unselfish selfies. So kind of posting about something that you're doing or a cause you're contributing to. And they encourage people to do this and use the hashtag unselfie and the hashtag GivingTuesday to get people to share sort of how they're helping, what they were contributing to this organization. And so I think, this is just a cool way to kind of give people a platform for sharing what they're doing to help this time of year. And also just jumping on an existing trend. So the unselfie thing was a trend. Giving Tuesday is obviously a hashtag and a well-known thing. And so kind of adopting these existing things, you don't have to create, an elaborate social media campaign from scratch. If you can find a relevant, popular hashtag or trend or something like that, and build your Giving Tuesday campaign around it, that can be a really easy way to get started. And when you can tap into like an existing community that's already participating in a trend, you basically have that captive audience built in. And so if the goal is to boost donations, tapping into an audience of people who are more inclined to donate and they're already engaged with the trend will result in more contributions. So I think this is just a really great example of that. And I think it's an easy thing to sort of try to apply for your organization. So just thinking about trends that are relevant for your audience or your industry and jumping on board with those. And then tailoring your campaign to your specific community and your target audience, right? So this example is also really cute and creative. This is from the Enoch Pratt Free Library in Baltimore. So this is a local library that seeks to raise funds at the end of the year. And so what they do is they kind of tap into, there's a football game with the Ravens the week of Giving Tuesday or around that week. And so they kind of tap into the local people's love of that team, sort of some competitive vibes, sports, things like that. And they tie it into fundraising. And so what they do is they set up a competition with another local library and they compete to see who can raise the most funds. And then the library that loses, their executive director has to dress up as a character from a book written by a local author and then do a reading. And so it's kind of a cute little competition here, but they end up raising tons of money, as you can see, through doing this, and just kind of by getting people engaged through imagery that they're used to seeing and feel emotional about or feel engaged with. And just instilling that sort of friendly sense of competition, right? And so the way to kind of apply this to what you're doing is just thinking about ways to tailor your Giving Tuesday campaign to the community that you're targeting, right? So like trying to find ways to make it feel relevant or interesting to the community that your campaign takes place in. So like I said, this Pratt Library did it by mirroring that week's Baltimore Ravens games. So you need to do some research maybe to figure out what would make sense for you, but this can really result in stronger turnout and engagement. And yeah, I think just sort of tapping into people's competitive nature and some friendly competition, because people want to be helpful and they want to show that they're helpful, and people are also naturally competitive. So things like this can be cute, and also just connecting with other nonprofits in your area, might be helpful for doing things like this. I think, we tend to have like tunnel vision for like what our goals are, but there might be opportunities for you to connect with other nonprofits that are, sort of in your space, all trying to do the same thing, and partner up in creative ways. So I really liked this example. Okay, and then email tips for Giving Tuesday. So let's talk a little bit about email specifically. So some general tips here are to include countdowns in your subject lines or in your email body copy. This is an example from World Hope International. So this is an email that they built in Feathr. Obviously, this is past now, so it's 000, but this was a countdown timer. So Feathr has a really cool countdown clock that you can add into email templates that just kind of instills that sense of urgency and looks really appealing at the top of the email. So definitely recommend using a countdown kind of feature in your emails and even in your ads. Using compelling imagery to highlight your cause, show the faces or places that benefit from your donations or from donations. So I've mentioned this a few times, but wherever you can kind of get, pull in imagery of the people who benefit from your cause, or, a past event that was successful, a book drive, a food drive, things like that, showing photos of volunteers. This can all be really, really relatable and just kind of make your campaign feel more personal. Making your emails shareable by including social media buttons so that they can actually click through from your emails to your social pages, or a forward this email CTA that can make it easy for you to forward this to colleagues, friends, family, things like that. Yeah, Steve, so Feathr offers email marketing tools, and we have a ton of templates for things like Giving Tuesday, donation appeals, so kind of like out of the box templates that make it easy to get started. And we do offer a countdown clock like this that you can add into your emails. This is the way that one of them looked, but you can design this to match your brand, obviously. And yeah, so Feathr offers that. I know a lot of email tools might offer it. I'm not sure about others, but Feathr has this. It's pretty easy to drop it in there. It's a drag and drop email editor. And then the last point here is to personalize the content by using the donor's name and, if possible, referencing their past contributions. So, in the subject line, you can say, "Hey, Sarah, you gave last year. Are you willing to give again?" Things like that. Referencing past contributions or past donations can just remind people of why they, cared about your cause in the past, and how, how they can continue to make an impact this year. All right, leveraging email drip campaigns. So this is another sort of email campaign type that I think is really important for this end of year period where there's a lot going on. Like people have said in the chat, there's a lot to manage. And so to the degree that you can automate things, you should. So email drip campaigns are a really good way to do that. You can automate sequences of emails. And the first one is, triggered by something, and then the rest of them follow in a timeline that you set. And so Feathr offers drip campaigns for any Feathr customers on this call. If you aren't aware yet, we now have drip campaigns in Feathr, so definitely get into your account and play around with those. And so, yeah, leveraging drip campaigns to automate these sequences can be really helpful for end of year. So for example, if you want to announce that you have a gift match campaign coming up for Giving Tuesday, you can set up a sequence where you announce that, and then it's followed by a series of reminders leading up to the day, and then last chance emails like on the day, right? Cart abandonment emails. So this is what we call auto send in Feathr. So if somebody, comes to your donate page on Giving Tuesday, but then leaves, but you have their email, you can actually trigger an automated email to them, encouraging them to come back. And then if they don't, you could have that followed by a few more emails encouraging them to complete their donation. And obviously here you want to be thoughtful about the way that you're doing this. And so you don't want to hound people, right? You want to make sure that they're not 2 days apart and asking the same thing in each one. Maybe mix it up. And, the first one can be that sort of traditional cart abandonment email, driving them back saying, hey, complete your donation. But then maybe the second one in the series is actually reminding them of the impact that this exact campaign had last year, right? So that would be a great place to pull in some of the imagery, some of the stats, the impact statements that we've talked about. So you want to make sure that you're being careful and thoughtful about the content that you include in sequences like this, but the automated nature of these drip campaigns makes it really easy to ensure that you're reaching people when it makes sense for them based on their behavior on your site, and you're continuing to follow up with them without having to have that top of mind and be firing off one-off emails or tons of email campaigns. Drip campaigns kind of save you the hassle of that during this super busy time of year. And then another example of a drip campaign idea is a thank you email. So if somebody does make a donation, you want that to trigger a thank you email, right? And then have that be followed by another email with the impact report when that's ready, and then continued donor nurturing over time, right? So maybe heading into 2025, you have a few emails lined up to reach out to them, and just continue to thank them, continue to keep them engaged with your cause. Maybe you have an upcoming campaign or an event, again, that you want them to learn more about next year. So having them in a drip campaign can ensure that they're getting all the information in a timely way. And again, you're not manually handling all of this. So some subject line best practices for Giving Tuesday and in general, right? But especially for these kind of high urgency giving periods. You want to be concise and clear, aiming for under 60 characters in your subject lines. Create urgency with countdowns, so you can have a countdown in the subject line, like 30 days till Giving Tuesday, 3 days till Giving Tuesday, things like that. Or phrases like today only. So, if you have a match gift campaign that's only 24 hours or things like that, using phrases that kind of evoke that urgency is great. Balancing facts and statistics with emotion, like we've talked about. Subject lines can be a good place to do that. Asking a question can be a really helpful way to drive engagement. We'll see a few examples of subject lines on the next slide. Highlighting impact and a gift match if applicable, and avoiding spammy language. So you don't want to put everything in all caps. You don't want to use too many exclamation marks or too many emojis. So things like that. So here's just some examples. This is from Better World. I liked some of these examples of subject lines, and they kind of categorized them according to like the type of subject line or the type of best practice. So, direct request subject lines, this is more just like straight to the point, cut to the chase, join us this Giving Tuesday, your gift matters, sort of straightforward language. Getting a little bit more personalized. So again, including people's names in the subject line when you can. Again, most email platforms should allow you to do this, including a specific personalized token in the email, in the subject line. Urgency driven subject lines. So, including that, the phrases like time is running out. This should not be in all caps. That's my bad. Last chance for your Giving Tuesday gift before Giving Tuesday ends, have twice the impact, things like that. And then questions. So, will you help feed a child this Giving Tuesday? Ready to change a life? Can we count on you? Matching gift subject lines, so incorporating the matching gift aspect into the subject line to remind people and get them to click through. Again, gift match campaigns are they really, really enhance engagement. So if you can put this up front where people are going to see it, so in your ads and in your subject lines, because whatever is in your email body copy, they won't see it unless they click through. So the subject line is a really important place to highlight the most high impact aspects of your campaign. If you have a gift match campaign, remind people of that in the subject line. And then storytelling subject lines. So, maybe talking about a person that benefited from your services, or somebody who benefited from donations last year, making it personal, making it feel like somebody, a real person in the world that somebody can help. And I just wanted to mention this. I think AI and ChatGPT and all of this kind of get a bad rap, I think. And I don't have a great pulse, I think, on how nonprofits feel about AI. I'd love for people to comment in the chat if this is something that you're doing, something that you're using. I'm here to toot the horn of leveraging AI when it's helpful, when it could give you a little boost, get your wheels spinning. I use it when I'm trying to generate subject lines for, for Feathr's marketing emails, when we're doing ad copy, things like that. I think it can be a really helpful way to, if you have an idea or a concept, drop it in there and ask for alternative options. And they might not all be great, and you might not even use any of them, but it'll kind of give you something to work with. And again, at a time of year where you're super busy and there's just too much, I think tools like ChatGPT can be really helpful for just giving you a starting point, a baseline to kind of to get just to get started. So yeah, love it, love it, love it. Super helpful for newsletter copy and social media captions. Yeah. I was deterred from using it in college. Yeah, it's interesting. I feel like in different spaces, there's very different takes on it. I know in academia, it's a whole different conversation. Whereas in marketing and business and just sort of the corporate world in general, it's more encouraged, I think, just because it helps with efficiency. Beats the blank page syndrome 100%. I feel like if you have writer's block with, email copy and things like that, it just gives you a place to start. Really helpful for email subject lines. Yeah. And captions for social media posts. That's a great point. Yeah, cool. And obviously, you don't want to just take something from ChatGPT and run with it. You want to tailor it. You want to make sure it's in line with your brand. You want to make sure it sounds right, sounds personal, give it that human touch. But I encourage people to leverage these tools if you feel like it can be useful for you and help you save time. I personally have found that it's helpful for me. So definitely don't feel any shame around it. Try it out. Okay, cool. Let's get into this last section here about some of these marketing channels to help you actually get in front of new people. So we've talked a little bit about, retargeting the people who visited your site, emailing people, how to stay engaged with, people who are aware of your cause, who've given you their email address. But what about people who have maybe never heard of you, who you've never reached before, that might actually be a really good candidate for your cause? So mobile and historical geofencing are one channel to do this. So this lets you serve ads to people in a specific physical location. So that can be a physical location that they're in currently or that they were in the past. One really common example that we see with Feathr users is targeting high income areas in a community. Obviously, these are going to be people who have more disposable income to give. They're probably likely to be more charitable in general. So targeting those high income zip codes can be a really sort of low hanging fruit for geofencing campaigns. And this example is from Grace Marketplace. This is a homeless shelter in Gainesville, Florida, which is where Feathr is headquartered, and I live here. Grace is a great organization, and they, as you can see here, target high-income neighborhoods in Gainesville, Florida, and then people in those areas will see ads like this one, encouraging them to donate as they're browsing the web, playing games on apps, things like that. And then this is another example of a geofencing campaign from a United Way that uses Feathr. This is United Way of Asheville and Buncombe County. So they were running a Giving Tuesday book drive a couple of years ago, and so they targeted the mall, the local mall in Asheville. Oh, cool, Andrea. Yeah, so they targeted the Asheville Mall with ads that looked like this one, encouraging people to donate money or books to this holiday book drive. And so, theoretically, people that are at a shopping mall, again, might have some money to spend. And so that's a great example of, a place to target, targeting sporting events, golf events, things like that, country clubs, thinking about, where are you going to be able to find those high ticket donors? Where are they living and working and playing, and targeting them in those spaces with ads, asking them to give some of their money to your amazing cause. This is an example. This is a little bit of a different example, but I think it's relevant for end of year particularly. So this is from the Food Bank for Central and Northeast Missouri, another Feathr user. So they actually were opening a new food pantry, and they wanted to make neighbors who use the services from their central pantry aware of this new food pantry. So I'm mentioning this because I think it's another cool use case for geofencing. So rather than targeting potential donors, you're actually targeting people who you serve with ads on their mobile devices about services that are available to them. And because the holiday season, it's winter, at least in the US, and it's cold and food is needed more than ever, warm food, you might have, more services offered at pantries or locations that you want to make known to the people that you serve. Geofencing can actually be a really cool way to do that. So they geofenced their central pantry, targeting neighbors with ads about that new pantry, the location when it was opening, what services were available, and those ads linked to a page on their website with tons of information for those neighbors to learn about the new services that were coming soon. Affinity targeting. So this pulls third-party data on demographics, industry, sort of purchase history, so that you can promote your cause to thousands of relevant new people based on the things that they've indicated that they're interested in, right? Or their demographics. So this basically gives you access to new audience segments that are similar to your current followers, and you can get very specific in the types of groups that you are trying to target. This example again is from that book drive from United Way. And so this was from 2022. And they targeted what this customer called book nerds. And so they were actually able to, through affinity targeting in Feathr, look up people who had a purchase history with Barnes and Noble, and then target those people with these ads asking them to donate. Because again, you can imagine that people who shop at Barnes and Noble may have some books that they are ready to donate if they're buying new ones. So this seemed like a really good audience to target, and you can just get hyper specific with those segments in Feathr and serve ads to them. Another example here from World Hope International. So they were able to pull an affinity list of top 10 charitable donors. So this is just based on donation history and income and net worth. And so they were able to actually target these ads to these highly charitable donors who would be more likely to give larger amounts. Okay, and then search retargeting. So we call this keyword search targeting in Feathr for any Feathr users who are more familiar with that term. This allows you to target people with ads based on keywords that they've searched in the past. So when you hear search targeting, you might think of Google Ads, right, which are the sponsored results that show up at the top of the Google search page. But this actually allows you to serve display ads, so similar to what we've seen with geofencing and retargeting, where it's those ads that follow people around the web as they browse. You're serving those types of ads to people based on terms they searched in the past, right? So if somebody searches cancer research, where to donate, then the next day or a few hours later or a week later, they will continue seeing ads as they browse the web on different websites, asking them to, or encouraging them to come and learn more about your cause, come donate, things like that. And again, this is sort of, you want to be thoughtful about ad copy. So for people who are actually searching in Google where to donate to cancer research, you could hit them with an ad about donating, right? Whereas somebody who maybe hasn't searched for like where to donate, but they're just searching for a topic in general that's relevant to you, you might want to serve them ads guiding them to your homepage or a page with resources to learn a little bit more about your cause before making an ask. So you always want to be, careful about not bombarding people up front with too many appeals or asks. You want to kind of gradually pull them into the fold, educate them about your cause, and then ask them when it's appropriate. So sometimes it's appropriate to ask pretty upfront, but sometimes you want to draw them in gradually. And this is also a great campaign type to run alongside Google Ads. So if you are running Google ad campaigns, you probably have a good pulse on what, search terms are relevant for your cause, what people are searching and what's performing well there. And you can often use a lot of those keywords in these search retargeting campaigns as well. And then this is an example from that organization from before, Lutheran Child and Family Services. This is a Feathr user, and they had a list of potential donor keywords that they were targeting with these ads here. So people who were searching for relevant terms. they were able to, serve them these ads. And so those were, I don't have the list because that they have that on their end, but this was probably things related to, fostering, adoption, things like that. And so when people were searching for those terms, they were then followed around with ads, encouraging them to come to the website, learn more about how they could foster through LCFS. And then last but not least, CRM retargeting. So again, we call this email mapping in Feathr, but CRM retargeting might be how you know it. So this helps you reach people who are on your email lists. So they've engaged with you in that way in the past, but they might be disengaged. So it's a great way to kind of bring lapsed donors, lapsed attendees, lapsed members, things like that back into the fold. So basically, no emails are sent through this campaign type. What you're doing is you're using the email address as a unique identifier to serve those display ads to people as they browse the web. And so an example could be, targeting recent event attendees who attended an event. So if you have a list of those emails, you can target those people with GivingTuesday ads. So again, you're not sending them an email, you're using that email list to target them with ads that look like this as they browse the web. Targeting lapsed donors with ads to re-engage them. So if you have somebody who donated 2 years ago and hasn't donated since, but you have their email address because they did donate, you can use the email address as a unique identifier to then serve them ads for this year's campaign, remind them of why they engaged. This would be a great place to reference that past gift, like we talked about, keeping things personal, reminding people that they cared before and that they should still care today. And then this is not a Giving Tuesday example, it's a Valentine's Day example, but I think it's a really, really good one. So I wanted to show it here. And I obviously, this applies to any kind of big giving event or any kind of big event that you have. I just love this example because they got so comprehensive with the list that they targeted here. So this is the Columbus Museum of Art in Ohio, and they have a Valentine's Day event, a fundraising event at the museum every year. And so for this, they serve ads to these people whose emails they have. So this is people on their membership list, people who attended this same event the year before. Art Bites is their newsletter, so people who are subscribed to Art Bites also get these ads. And then Wonderball is another annual event that they have, a fundraiser. And so people who attended this event also get ads for this Valentine's Day event. So again, everybody on this webinar has tons of email lists, you have segments, you might not always have the time to sort of think through all of the different nuances of those segments and your email list, but just thinking about, some low-hanging fruit. Again, it's like people who attended a specific event last year, people who, made a donation 2 years ago, things like that. These lists that you have access to, you can serve ads to those people based on those email lists. So it's an easy way to sort of think about it. Okay, and then I think I want to end sort of on this note here, bringing all of your campaigns into the same platform, right? You want to be able to measure the impact of all of your marketing efforts in your marketing platform. And so Feathr allows you to do this through what we call tracked link campaigns. And so, for Giving Tuesday, I know a lot of organizations run print advertising, you might do some direct mailers, things like that. And so by leveraging UTM codes and QR codes, you can actually bring anything that you're doing outside of Feathr into Feathr. So you can see the performance of all of your channels side by side, kind of see what's working, what's not, what you need to put a little bit more budget behind. So for print ads and direct mail, you can use UTM codes on there or QR codes to make it even simpler. Canva makes it really easy to create QR codes that you can then put into your Feathr campaigns and track them that way. And so, yeah, this is just a great way to sort of see where people are coming from, how many people are actually coming from the direct mailers that you're sending versus print ads versus digital ads, email campaigns, things like that. And also just having a platform that lets you see specific conversions and how many conversions come from a specific email, how many conversions are coming from, the retargeting ads you have running. So Feathr lets you do all of this, and I think it's just really important, regardless of the platform you're using, to have a platform that lets you measure the impact of everything in one place, including your print advertising, right? Cool. Well, that wraps up just in time with 1 minute left. So thank you everyone so much for joining. I hope this was helpful. Thank you for everyone who sort of dropped in some comments and some tips that work for them in the chat.